Recording has started.
Thank you very much, sir. I'd like to just got a note that Councilmember Newman's computer just crashed. She has to reboot, but she'll be in. Anyway, I'd like to call to order the City of Sumner City Council meeting. The date is the 7th of June and the time is 6:01. A reminder to everyone that City Hall remains closed during Governor Inslee's Healthy Washington Recovery Roadmap order, consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic. The public has been invited to attend the meeting virtually by using the Zoom link that's on the council agenda and on the city's website. With that, I would ask you to join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Hochstetter. You know, I don't like dueling voices on the Pledge of Allegiance, and you lend a great voice to it, so thank you. With that, we will move to the invocation, and I would call on the Right Reverend Steve Starr. Mr. Starr.
I feel honored every time, Mr. Mayor. Hey, before I pray.
It's our honor. It's our honor, Steve.
All right. Before I pray, I want to thank Sumner. You know, we used to do nights out for dates. My wife and I, we're too old for that now. So we did day out and we went to downtown Sumner, had coffee and then ate on the street and went through the shop, spent some money and just had a wonderful time. Good place to spend a morning or an afternoon. So I recommend that. And I would pray for a short meeting, but you've already said it's going to be long, so I'm not going to pray for that either. Let's go ahead and pray. Lord God, thanks. Just a privilege to come and be in your presence, to pray for the council and the mayor and the work they're about to do. And with this long agenda, Lord, may you just cut some corners here and smooth some edges and help them to make important decisions. Lord, thank you for that guidance. Thank you for the chance to be a part of the Sumner community in this valley. And we just give you honor and glory. Amen. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate any help we can get tonight. That's for sure. And for the, well, I won't have to say for the record because we have yet to get to the roll call, but congratulations, Councilmember Newman, for rebooting and getting back into the meeting. That's great. Thank you. Okay, Michelle, could you please call the roll?
Sorry. Potato.
Here.
Brown.
Yeah.
Hayden.
Here.
Hamilton.
Here.
Hochstetter.
Here.
Newman.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
All council members are present. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the consent agenda. And Michelle, could you please read the consent agenda?
Consent agenda is as follows. Item number 1, approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting of May 17th, 2021 and May 24th, 2021 study session. Item 2, sidewalk improvements, construction contract award. Item 3, ESN Salmon Creek cutover, design construction management consultant agreement. Item 4, resolution number 1584, amendment to interlocal agreement, school resource officer. Item 5, approval of an employee separation agreement.
Thank you very much, Michelle. I'd ask if there's any council members that would like to remove any item on the consent agenda for separate consideration. Councilmember Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to remove item number 2.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Hochstetter.
Yes, Mayor, I need to remove item number 3, the Salmon Creek cutover design contract management consultant agreement.
Thank you, Councilmember Hochstetter. Any other items that need to be removed for separate consideration? Okay, seeing none, I would need a motion by the deputy mayor to approve the consent agenda, including items number 1, 4, and 5.
I move to adopt consent agenda as items number 1, 4, and 5 as read.
Can I get a second to that?
I'll
Yes,
second.
I'll second that.
Okay, I think Councilmember Reed just beat you by a hair there, Councilmember Hochstetter. You'd have the second. Okay, all those in favor of approving consent agenda items number 1, 4, and 5, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. Okay, the ayes have it. Items number 1, 4, and 5 are approved, which brings us back to item number 2, which is sidewalk improvements. And I would call on Councilmember Reed for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we approve item number 2, sidewalk improvements, construction contract award.
Thank you, Councilmember Reed. Could I get a second to that?
Yes, I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilmember Hochstetter. Councilmember Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had asked or checked with City Administrator Wilson to have that presented for us before voting this evening.
Cool. Okay. I would call on Public Works Director Mike Dahlem. Oops, I don't see him up on the screen. Is he in the attendees?
And Mr. Mayor, I believe, oh, there he is.
I'm here, but I'm not the guy you want. I'd like to refer this to Andrew Leach. He should be on and ready to present this.
Well, he will be now.
Nice seeing you all.
Thanks, Mike. Stick around for the rest of the meeting.
I will.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Leach, there you are. Go ahead. What's this project about?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I just want to check real quick if I could have the capabilities to share my screen. I've got a couple of maps to show everybody where we're going to be doing sidewalk improvements. So, but just to start off with, this item is for the construction contract award of the sidewalk improvement projects. We went out to bid on May 27th, we received 4 bids on the project. The low bid was submitted by Olson Brothers Excavating with a bid amount of a little over $1.3 million. The engineer's estimate for the project was $1.6 million, and they will have 100 working days to complete the project. But to just give some background of the project and to kind of give an idea of everything we're doing, I've got a couple site maps that I'll bring up here. See, can everybody see that? Scrolling a little bit.
Looks pretty good.
All right. So I should start off. Funding for the project is mostly from Sound Transit. We received a grant from them for station access improvements. So about $1.1 million of the project will be funded through that grant. The remaining portion, we're doing a section of the project outside of the Sound Transit area in the River Grove neighborhood. So I'll cover both areas. So the aerial map that's up before you guys now is the Sound Transit area, kind of outlined by the black dashed line. The red and black lines represent broken up or settled sidewalks that have caused trip hazards or that we're planning on getting fixed here. And then with that, the blue circles represent driveway approaches and alleyway approaches that are either broken up or don't meet current ADA standards. The red X's represent intersections that have curb ramps that are either broken up and failing or don't meet ADA requirements. So we're replacing those curb ramps and removing those barriers to pedestrians. On the map, there's one orange line located on the map, this represents a sidewalk gap that we'll be filling in with the project. So as you can see, it's a spread out area from Thompson Street to the south, up to Main Street to the north, and then Wood Avenue to the east, and the train tracks and train station to the west. The other area that we'll be doing improvements outside of the Sound Transit area is in the River Grove neighborhood. Back in March, our city shops department went and fixed about 40 to 50 different locations where street trees have caused the sidewalk to heave or settle, creating trip hazards and unsafe walking path for pedestrians. So this is located here on 143rd or River Grove Drive. We're replacing this whole stretch of sidewalk here and continuing down 143rd. If it loads, just more sidewalk replacement. We'll also be putting in a new curb ramp and crosswalk down at this location. And then a little bit further down to the east in River Grove neighborhood, some more sidewalk replacements that were more sidewalk heaves and trip hazards have occurred. So this location, the River Grove location, is funded through our sidewalk repair budget. That was originally our volunteer program funding that we had, that we switched through a budget amendment earlier this year. With that, I'm open to taking any questions that anybody may have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leach. I would call on Councilmember Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Andrew, for the explanation. That's really helpful, especially the map that's showing right now. The reason I asked for this to come off of consent is one of the most common things we hear from the public as council out and about, or at least for me anyhow, is sidewalks. That is a big topic, and it's a lot of times street tree related or trip hazards and all of the things you just mentioned that are slated as part of this contract. And I thought it was not only important to recognize all of this work that is going to be going underway, but also the work that staff has taken to obtain these grants and to continue to find ways to fund and complete these projects without it becoming solely on the property owners and the individuals that normally would have been potentially responsible to cover all of those costs. And that's not only a great service to the city, but a great service to the residents as well. And I thank you guys for that. I also wanted to point out that this is a lot of sidewalk work that's going to be going on. And in addition to that, that's not all inclusive. In my understanding, there's still the different property improvements and things that are happening throughout other parts of the city. There are other sidewalks and improvements that are taking place as well. And I didn't want to lose sight of those either. So thank you for your explanation. And I really appreciate the work you guys are doing to get this taken care of.
Thank you.
Very well stated, Councilmember Reed. Councilmember Botetto, and then Councilmember Hochstetter.
Yeah, I was wondering, are you going to do any sidewalks from Mountain Circle on the south side of Thompson? There's no sidewalks there, it's just a path. And, you know, there's more commuters walking over that way. It'd be nice to get that paved or worked on. So just wondered, it doesn't look like it's included in your plan.
Right, that street down there is currently not included with the current sidewalk project, but it is definitely has been identified as a sidewalk gap in our system, and it's an area we've noted and on the list to for our attention to.
In other words, they're going to try to get to it in the future.
Yeah,
Councilmember
sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Hochstetter.
Yes, thank you. So Andrew, why wouldn't that space on Thompson be included in the Sound Transit funding?
Mostly due to the amount of funding that we had remaining for the sidewalk grant from Sound Transit. We've had a few previous projects the last couple of years that we've used a portion of the available sidewalk. I think originally we had about 2.2 total in grant funding from Sound Transit. We used just about $1 million of that in last year's sidewalk replacement project. And then this year, we started out with the much broader area of areas we were looking at to get done with the remaining funding. But once we started really delving in and realizing just how much sidewalk needed to be fixed, we narrowed in on this current area to complete as much, but while still trying to complete as much as we could with what available funding we had.
Okay, well, thank you. I think Councilman Duterte is right. That's a well-used area that could really use a sidewalk. And but my question was on when you're doing the River Grove area and you're using some of the volunteer sidewalk funding, it used to be when we had that was the homeowners, it was a 50-50 match. It sounds to me like the problem that you're fixing is maybe it was the contractor or something like that. So why is it that we're spending money down there in River Grove to correct it sounds like such an extensive problem?
Yes, so the damage to that sidewalk was due to the many street trees lining the sidewalk, the roots growing underneath and breaking up the sidewalk. So under today's procedures, when there's new development going in and we require them to plant street trees, we require them to place a root barrier along the sidewalk to prevent roots from growing underneath. When these sidewalks are completed, I think that was before we had that requirement of developers to perform. So just about every tree on this road has caused some sort of damage to the sidewalks. So,
Okay, so it was built before we had that in as a requirement.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you, Andrew.
You're welcome.
Before we go back to Councilmember Reed, any other council members have any questions for staff? Seeing none, Councilmember Reed.
Thank you. Just quick comment. Will this map or something similar be available on Sumner Connects?
Yes, sorry, I totally forgot to mention that. This map is up on, I did a open house presentation last May. This map's up there. And then there's also a project webpage on Sumner Connects for the project. And that map's also up on there as well. And then there's also a question and answer section for any residents or that may have questions on the project.
Excellent. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, any additional questions or comments by council members? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of the sidewalk improvements construction contract award, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. Okay, ayes have it, and the sidewalk improvements construction contract award is approved. Which brings us to the second item that was removed from the consent agenda for separate consideration, which is the ESN Salmon Creek Cutover Design Construction Management Consultant Agreement. There's a mouthful. Got to get a motion from Councilmember Hochstetter.
Yes, I move we approve the Salmon Creek Cutover Design Contract Management Consultant Agreement.
Thank you very much. Could I get a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor. Okay. Councilmember Hochstetter.
I was told that Michael Kosa was going to explain this one from the Public Works Department.
I appreciate that, but I think you had removed it for a reason, and I didn't know if there was a specific reason that you removed it from the agenda.
Yes, the contract numbers were not correct. It was just a Scribner's error. So he's going to give us the exact numbers at now today so we can fix it.
Mr. Kosa.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Michael Kosa, City Engineer
I'm here to describe this one item and then the discrepancy, very minor discrepancy. The City of Sumner budgeted funds to realign Salmon Creek to a new channel alignment between 64th Street and 60th Street. So Salmon Creek currently flows through a roadside ditch along the west side of Sumner Taps Highway. In 2019, a new Salmon Creek alignment was constructed in conjunction with the Regional Stormwater Pond Project. But Salmon Creek remained in its existing alignment as the vegetation established in the new channel. And that establishment period will be over in next summer in 2022. So this project that we're looking to design with KPG here is redirects that stream flow to the previously constructed channel now that it's established. We went through a qualification-based selection process and selected KPG for consulting services for the design and construction management of the project. An hourly rate agreement with a maximum payable amount was negotiated for the final design and construction management phase. That dollar value is what it was a bit of a mix-up, and we wanted to correct that in the agenda bill as well as in the contract, so that we ensure that it matches the scope and fee. So the wrong number was the $180,027.64, and the correct number was $181,195.64. So that was just that minor difference between the numbers, but because it was the actual number of the contract value, we wanted to make it clear. It was passed by the Public Works Committee, but like I said, we wanted to clear up that error so that we made it clear to everyone what the contract value was that was approved. I'm happy to answer any questions or concerns you may have.
So basically what we'd be doing is adopting this particular item with the correction to the Scribner's error. Wouldn't it be as simple as that, City Attorney? Okay, she's going yes like this. Okay, any other questions? So I know do we have to take any, other than my comment that we're adopting this motion based upon the Scribner's error, do we need a formal motion to that in that regard?
Councilmember Hochstetter's motion should be sufficient that we're adopting the contract in accordance with KPG's scope and budget.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments by the City Council? Okay, all those in favor of adopting item number 3, which is the ESN Salmon Creek Cutover Design, Construction, and Management Consultant Agreement with the correction to the Scribner's error, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and that particular item is approved. Thank you. Well, we have made it through the consent agenda. And now we will go on to the public hearing. Public hearing that we have before us tonight is a public hearing on the Sumner Bonnie Lake School District Development Agreement. I would open the public hearing at 6:24 and call on City Attorney Andrea Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you tonight and for tonight's public hearing is a development agreement between the City of Sumner and the Sumner Bonnie Lake School District related to the Sumner High School Modernization Project. And as you'll recall from the presentation provided at the last study session, this is a phased project, and a development agreement is being requested to provide certainty to the school district through the development process. A public hearing is required for development agreements according to our CW 3670B 200. I'm going to provide you all with a brief summary of the proposed terms of the agreement. A full copy is provided in tonight's packet and is available online. The first is that, like I said, this is a phased project that will take many years and is publicly funded. And because it's dependent on public funding, certainty as to the costs and the rules and regulations that will apply to the development project are very important. So that is the reason that the school district has requested this development agreement. The term of the agreement is for 10 years. The agreement, if approved, will vest the project to the current code and the current rules and regulations for a period of 10 years. It will vest the project to the current fee schedule related to impact fees for a period of 5 years. And through the development agreement, the school district is requesting an exception to the height restrictions for the PAC building. It is centrally located in the design, and the city is recommending approval of this height exception because we believe that the school district has appropriately addressed the impacts that are created or caused by the exception to the height in our code. But a reminder that approval of that height exception does require a supermajority vote of the city council. And last but not least, there are multiple right-of-way vacations and cleanups that will need to occur, and they are addressed in this development agreement, and the process will ensue after the development agreement is approved. As a reminder, this development agreement was before the city's hearing examiner on April 29th. On May 13th, he provided to the city council his recommendation that the development agreement be approved, and that would be simultaneously with his authority or opinion on the underlying conditional use permit that is required for this project. Following tonight's public hearing, which is an opportunity for you all to hear from the public, this matter will be before you for a final vote on June 21st. And if there are no further questions or no questions, I will stop talking so that you all can hear from the public.
Thank you very much, City Attorney. I will ask if any council members want any clarification on what was covered by the City Attorney. Okay, seeing none, we will move to comments from the public. And as clarification for those that are attending the meeting, this is for you to comment on the development agreement. This is not a question and answer session. It's only for you to provide comments to the city council. And to do so, you need to let me know that you want to address the city council by either using the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen, bottom of this Zoom call, or by pressing *9 on your phone. So if you're attending the meeting, you'd like to address the council on the development agreement, please do either one of those two things. I'll recognize you, and somebody far cleverer than I will allow you into the meeting to be able to then speak to the council. Okay, I'm looking at the attendees. I do not see either a hand raised or a *9 on a phone. Going once, going twice. Seeing no one wanting to address the council on the development agreement, this hearing is closed at 6:29. Okay, we move on to regular business. First thing under regular business is unfinished business and public comment. And first of all, the public was encouraged to submit comments to the city clerk by email before tonight's meeting. And I would ask the city clerk whether they received any emails that need to be read into the record.
No, Mayor, I did not.
Okay, no emails were received to be read into the record. Again, anybody that is attending the meeting, if you would like to address the city council on any item that is not on the agenda, please use the raise your hand feature or *9 on your phone. If you'd like to address the council on any item that is not on the agenda, please use the raise your hand feature or *9 on your phone. Okay, seeing none, we will close public comment. Moves us on to new business. First item under new business is ordinance number 2777, which is amendments to the municipal code 2.76, excuse me, relating to emergency management. And I would call on Councilmember Botetto for a motion.
I move to adopt ordinance number 2777, amendment to the Sumner Municipal Code 2.76 relating to emergency management.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Botetto. Could I get a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Newman. I would call on City Attorney Andrea Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you tonight is ordinance 2777, which amends chapter 2.76 of the municipal code related to emergency management. It is mostly cleanup and clarification. If COVID-19 taught us anything, it's that good, clear, concise direction during an emergency is very important. Understanding roles and responsibilities during an emergency is very important. And in reviewing this section of our code, we discovered that there were a few areas that required cleanup, clarification, and some of the references were outdated. In particular, there are multiple references in this code to the fire chief of East Pierce, as he was the emergency management director. We have brought that back in-house, designating the police chief or his designee as the emergency management director. And that's for a number of reasons, but mostly it's much more efficient and it's consistent with the amendments we recently made to the East Pierce Fire interlocal agreement. It better outlines the declaration of emergency powers and authorities of the mayor to act during an emergency and the succession of authority if the mayor is unable or unwilling to act in the case of an emergency. And like I said earlier, it's generalized code cleanups that are required to help make this code really function as it was intended and provide good, clear direction to staff and the elected officials in the case of an emergency. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, City Attorney. Questions to council for Andrea? Go ahead, Councilmember Hochstetter.
Ms. Marquez, you cut out right when you said you took the fire chief off as the head emergency officer, and who did you put in that position?
I apologize for that. I didn't realize I had cut out. In the place of those references is the police chief or his designee.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments by council members for City Attorney Marquez? Wow, okay. Seeing none, any members of the public that would like to address the council on this particular matter? Again, please use the raise your hand feature or star 9 on your phone. Okay, seeing none. Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Newman,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Botetto,
Yes.
Hochstetter.
Yes,
Okay, vote of 7-0. Ordinance number 2777 is adopted. We move on to ordinance number 2779. And again, I would call on Councilmember Botetto.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2779, amending Sumner Municipal Code 8.08 relating to fireworks sales and displays.
Thank you very much. Could I get a second to that motion?
Second.
Who was it? Councilmember Hamilton. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to call on Assistant City Attorney Christy Palmer. Christy.
Good evening, Council. Ordinance number 2779 is another one of the ordinances that implements some of the changes that were made when Council amended the interlocal agreement between the City of Sumner and East Pierce Fire and Rescue. City Attorney Marquez mentioned the one just previously regarding emergency management, and there's going to be another one we will bring before you tonight related to further code amendments. But this in particular, ordinance 2779 amends our firework code really to reflect the change in our interlocal agreement that brings the fire code review in-house. Previously, East Pierce Fire and Rescue was doing a lot of our fire display inspections. Essentially, the city permits two things related to fireworks. One is fireworks stands and firework displays. And instead of East Pierce Fire and Rescue taking on the majority of that role, the city will now be doing that in-house with a new fire code reviewer. So this ordinance before you just clarifies that language to indicate that the city will be doing it. It also gives us flexibility to later, partner with East Pierce Fire and Rescue if we need to for firework displays in the future. And I will answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Christy. Questions or comments by council members? Christy, on this particular item? Okay, seeing none, any members of the public that would like to address the council on this issue? Seeing none, Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Beto,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Vote 7-0, ordinance number 2779 is adopted. Brings us to ordinance number 2780. Again, I'll call on Councilmember Botetto for a motion.
I make a motion to approve ordinance number 2780, amending Animal Control Sumner Municipal Code 6.04.
A second.
Thank you, Councilmember Botetto. I'm sorry, who was that second?
Patrick.
Patrick.
Okay, Councilmember Reed, thank you very much. Wasn't paying attention, sorry. Okay, I'm going to call on Assistant City Attorney Christy Palmer again. Go ahead, Christy.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 2780 makes some minor clarification changes to our Animal Control Code, Chapter 6.04, specifically to one of the biggest changes really to clarify when animal control can retain a deposit related to animal adoptions. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions or comments by council members for Christy? Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, any members of the public that would like to address the council on this issue? Seeing none, Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Brown,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Hamilton.
Yes.
Vote of 7-0, ordinance number 2780 is adopted. Brings us to ordinance number 2781. Call again on Councilmember Botetto.
I make a motion to approve ordinance number 2781, amending Animal Control Code Sumner Municipal Code 6.10.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Botetto and seconded by Councilmember Reed. Again, I'll call on Christy Palmer. Go ahead, Christy.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 2781 amends our dangerous dog code, Sumner Municipal Code, Chapter 6.10. Since we made more substantive changes to our animal control code about a year ago, several issues have arisen that just require us to clarify how we treat dogs that are declared dangerous by other jurisdictions and then move into the city of Sumner. So this code is these changes are meant to really just clarify when a dog moves into the city of Sumner that's been declared dangerous from another jurisdiction, how much time they have to register with with Metro. It clarifies, it provides Metro the ability if a dog's been declared by another jurisdiction, Metro itself can't lift that declaration, but they have authority now under this new change to waive certain requirements for if a dog, is too old or sick and is no longer a danger. So it allows Metro to have some discretion there. And so we ask that council adopt ordinance 2781.
Thank you very much, Christy. Any questions or comments, council members, for Christy on this issue? Okay, seeing none, any members of the public that would like to address the council on ordinance number 2781? Seeing, hearing none. Michelle, please call the roll.
Brown,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Hayden,
yes,
Newman,
Yes.
Potato,
yes,
Hochstetter.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance number 2781 is adopted unanimously. Brings us to resolution number 1585. I would call on Deputy Mayor Hayden.
yes. I move to approve resolution number 1585, accepting the donation of parcel number 042-025-1153 from the Quinnell family and authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents necessary to finalize the donation.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Could I get a second to that motion?
Yes, I'll second that.
And seconded by Councilmember Hochstetter. I'm going to call on Community Services Manager Derek Berry. Mr. Berry.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having me tonight. I'm going to share my screen to go over the property that we are looking at here. Can everyone see the PDF with the map?
Yep.
Yep.
So in 2018, the Parks and Trail Plan identified areas of Sumner that had underserved communities for our park and trail network. We then identified developable lands that could fill those needs. Those are identified here with the green circles. We recently acquired the Bennett property based off of these efforts. And in shortly after, we reached out to several of the property owners to see if they would be interested in selling or working something out with the city to help those communities get some sort of park or amenity. We recently communicated with the Quinnell family, who has been a developer in the region and has been a developer down in the River Grove area. So we shared the vision of adding a park for a community that didn't have any. They're shut off by 410. They were willing to donate the land, and they were hoping that it would be named the Quinnell Park or something along those lines, and to have a placard out there specifying that it was donated by David and Janelle Quinnell. So the area we're looking at is the yellow ring with the green circle. And then down here is kind of the border of it, down in the River Grove area off of 143rd and 72nd. And then can you see the last map here? Showing the just generic picture of the map with a little playground and half basketball court. Is that what's showing up on the screen right now for you guys?
Yeah.
So when talking with them, they wanted to see kind of what it would look like. It's a pretty small area, just short of a quarter of an acre when we add in our right of way that's down there. So it's a unique opportunity here. I'm guessing there's over 1,000 residents down there. It's seen considerable growth, but there's no open space that has a park or a playground for families that's public. So with their generosity, we are able to eventually fill that need down there. It'll take some time to plan out and develop, but it's a great opportunity. So that being said, I'd love to try to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Berry. Questions or comments by city council members on this particular land donation? Questions or comments? Councilmember Hochstetter.
Yes, I'd just like to take the chance to thank that family for donating that. I know it'll be put to good use. No open spaces ever get wasted. So thank you very much for doing that.
Very well stated, Councilmember Hochstetter. Thank you. Any other council comments, questions? Okay. Any members of the public that would like to address the council on this issue? Okay, seeing none. Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Reed,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Potato,
yes,
Hayden,
yes,
Newman.
Yes.
Yeah, unanimously voted by the council that we accept the land donation by the Connell family. And I would echo Councilmember Hochstadter's a big thank you to the family for doing so. Moves us on to ordinance number 2778, and I would call on Deputy Mayor for a motion.
I move to approve ordinance number 2778, removing outdated and unnecessary references to East Pierce Fire and Rescue from numerous provisions of the Sumner Municipal Code, consistent with the amended interlocal agreement between East Pierce Fire and Rescue and the city.
Can I get a second to that very long motion?
Yes, I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Councilmember Hochstadter. Yeah, call on City Attorney Andrea Marquez. Andrea.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, ordinance 2778 is purely code cleanup. This is one of those housekeeping ordinances that Christy referenced earlier that is required based on the amended interlocal agreement. There are multiple sections of our code that refer to the East Pierce Fire Marshal and give obligations and duties to the fire marshal. And with the decision to bring fire plan review internal to the city, we have updated those code provisions to reference not the fire marshal, but the city's plan reviewer. There are other code cleanups that still reference East Pierce that we've caught and updated through this code cleanup as well.
Sorry, I had to get my cursor back on the right screen. Okay, thank you, Andrea. Any questions or comments council members have for Andrea Marquez? Any questions or comments? Seeing none, any members of the public that would like to address the council on this particular issue? Seeing, hearing none, Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Potato,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Hochstadter,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Hamilton.
Yes.
Okay, vote 7-0. Ordinance number 2778 is adopted, and the code is cleaned up regarding East Pierce Fire and Rescue. Move on to reports by the City Council. Councilmember Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My only comment tonight is just a huge thank you again to the Quinnell family for the donation of parkland for the River Grove area. It's very much appreciated, and I look forward to when it can be put in place and utilized.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Reed. Councilmember Potato.
I just wanted to say that on Saturday, I was part of the crowd that was at the Y to have Healthy Kids Day. And I think this is like the second or third time that rain has always come in as part of the whole event. But it was good to see the number of people that came out, and then also just to let people know that the Y is, open more and more. And, some people are concerned that they aren't moving fast enough, but they are following guidelines, set by the state. So they're hoping, to get open completely by the summer, and they're going to be having day camp there too. So, and then I just encourage people to get vaccinated because that helps get things opened up. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Potato. Councilmember Newman.
None tonight.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Brown.
Nothing tonight.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Brown. Councilmember Hochstadter.
I just hope I'm not on a game show with Patrick Reed because he always beats me to the buzzer, but I guess I'll have to worry about that later, but nothing else. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Hamilton.
Well said, Cindy. Yeah, I mean, he did kind of beat us to the punch, but we do want to thank the Quinnell family for sure. That area of town could use a park, and this should help it happen quicker. So Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hamilton. I'll just have to remember that in the future in terms of calling on individuals here. Let's see, Deputy Mayor Hayden.
I pretty much used all my breath on those two long motions. I have nothing tonight.
Okay, outstanding. City Administrator, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. Coming up next week, we have the University of Washington Tacoma students back to present their final report on the Main Street Visioning Project. I'm really excited for them to share this with council and the public. They've been doing some incredible work, and I think you all will be extremely pleased with what they've come back with, and we'll be looking forward to the next steps on those projects. At the next regular council meeting on June 21st, you'll be considering an ordinance to adopt the development agreement that you had the public hearing on tonight between the Sumner Bonnie Lake School District and the city regarding the Sumner High School Modernization Project. You'll also consider an ordinance amending the city's personnel policies related to state retirement benefits. On the policy follow-up front, wanted to let you know, if you may have seen in the e-news that we were able to reinstall the portable restrooms at Loyalty, Siebenthaler, and Rainier View Parks going into the Memorial Day weekend. We know that we don't have a permanent solution in place yet, but at least they are back in place, and we will continue to monitor the vandalism issue and seek more permanent solutions. And then lastly, I wanted to share some personnel news with you. I want to thank Assistant Attorney Christy Palmer. If you weren't aware, Christy was heavily recruited by Kitsap County to fill a litigation supervisor position. And tonight is her last regular council meeting with the city. It has been an absolute pleasure working with her for the past 3 years, and she'll be greatly missed. And we do wish her luck in her new venture. And I don't know if she's even still in the meeting. She might have popped up. She might have gotten suspicious.
Yeah, actually, she's still an attendee. She's hiding.
All right. And that's it for me today.
Oh, there she is. She came back.
There she is.
Wasn't she put in lockdown to stay at the building?
You tried.
I tried, but was not successful.
If I could just have a moment, I don't know if this is allowed, but I just wanted to.
Yes, it is allowed. It's truly appropriate.
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone at the city and all the members of the council. I've truly loved being part of the city, and I've said this over and over, but I've never felt more, supported and encouraged and appreciated anywhere else than here at the city. And it was such a hard decision to leave, but I thank you all for the opportunity to grow here. And I will truly miss working for the city of Sumner.
Well, we're certainly going to miss you. I mean, that was sort of you talk about moments during the week which you didn't want to repeat. That was one of them last week when I found out myself, and I went, oh, crap. But you're one of these people that you knew at a certain point that you're going to be going somewhere and moving on up because you're that type of person, talented, capable, great with people, a hard worker. I could go on. Anyway, we truly have enjoyed having you with the city, and we know you'll do great things with Kitsap County and go on from there, and wish you well. Come back and visit. We would love to see you and keep in touch. So thank you very much again. Okay, anything else, Mr. Wilson?
That's it for me, Mayor.
Okay, just a couple of things real quick here. Remember when I started this meeting saying we had a really long agenda? Here we are, and we still have an executive session to go, which will take some time, but it's 6:55. And I thought about it because we really just have gone through the agenda in a pretty efficient manner. And what does that do? Why does that happen? And it's due to one heck of a lot of hard staff work in terms of the level of detail and competency that goes into each of these items that come before you. It goes to our council committees, that take on each of these, items as appropriate, and goes through and reviews them, and then brings them, back to the council after going through review. And it's the study sessions itself when it's issues for the total council of the whole. in which you take it on and debate the issues and consider them. And then when they finally get on the council agenda, you have worked through the process, both from a staff and from a council standpoint. And it makes a huge difference in terms of how smoothly the council meetings go. So I just want to pass on my thanks, to each one of you, for being as diligent and as involved and as committed as you are, because it really does show when it comes to council meetings. So thank you very much. The second one is that just a shout out to Delano's Coffee. Late last week, we had the opportunity to meet with Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland and show her in person parts of the White River Restoration Project. We convened at Delano's Coffee, and they were the normal, gracious host. And it was incredible being able to go in there, and that's sort of a little bit of sense of normalcy again, going back in and being able to meet back in their meeting room. Congresswoman Strickland got a tour of the plant, and then met in their room and went over the project, and then went out and toured the area. Anyway, it was again, just to thank you to Delano's for stepping up and showing what Sumner is made out of: great partnerships with the businesses and just great people. With that, we are going to move into executive session. And before I state the purpose and how long and all that, you will note in your emails, there's an email that you received at 4:52 from Andrea with the link that you will then click on, and it'll take you into a separate session. And we'll go through executive session. It may last 20 minutes. If it's extended beyond that, it may last longer. At the end of that session, then you will go back to the link that was sent you by Jeff Steffens, and you'll go back into the regular session because there will be action to follow. I think I covered. Everybody get it? Okay. So we will be adjourning the meeting into executive session for the purpose of discussing labor negotiations pursuant to RCW 4230-140 subsection 4 for a period not to exceed 20 minutes, and there will be action to follow. With that, go to that email, click the link, and we'll see you in executive session. Mr. Wilson, we got a couple minutes. If I'm not mistaken, we're still missing Councilmember Potato.
That's correct, Mayor, and we are right at the 20 minutes right now.
My screen says 7:19. We're right at the 20 minutes in terms of the length of the session. Got it. Okay, if that's the case, then I'm going to stretch it out for another 15 seconds.
Can we do a countdown?
Thanks, Patrick. Okay, going to call the meeting back into the June 7th City Council meeting back into regular session. And I would call on Councilmember Reed for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move we authorize the mayor to execute the 2-year 2021 to 2022 collective bargaining agreement with the police chief representing special, excuse me, I'm sorry, I got glare here. The 2021-2022 collective bargaining agreement with the police chief representing special commissioned and non-commissioned employees substantially in the form as approved by the city attorney.
Thank you, Councilmember Reed. Could I get a second to that motion?
Second.
Was that you, Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes, I'll second.
Good. Sorry, my hearing's going here. Okay, we have a motion and a second. I would call on Administrative Services Director Jeff Steffens. Go ahead, Jeff.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. The city has concluded negotiations with the Police Guild representing special commissioned and non-commissioned employees. Before you tonight is a 2-year collective bargaining agreement covering 2021 and 2022. This agreement covers represented employees at Metro Animal Services and the records specialists and community service officer at City Hall. The agreement includes several minor changes, such as vacation accrual cap, field training officer pay, and incorporates various language cleanups. The salary and benefits offered in this contract fall within current budget allocations while still remaining competitive in the local labor market. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Steffens. Questions or comments in City Council from Mr. Steffens? Questions or comments, council members? Okay, Councilmember Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to comment that for the few people that might still be watching or those that might watch in the future, a huge thank you to Mr. Steffens, the chief, and everybody involved in this process. Every year or two, we hear about the complexity that goes into collective bargaining agreements and the challenges that go with. And this is definitely a great win for everybody involved from the sounds of it. So thank you again for the work.
Thank you, Councilmember Reed. Well stated. And I would echo those comments. Any other council member questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Anybody that's attending the meeting that would like to address the council on this particular issue? Okay, seeing none. Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Thanks to all of you. Vote 7-0. The collective bargaining agreement with the Police Guild Support Services is approved. Okay, thank you for all your hard work tonight. In as much as there is no further business before the council, this meeting is adjourned at 7:23. Have a great evening, everyone, and thank you again for all your hard work.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.